This is KGW News at noon.
Breaking news at noon. A fatal hit and run has shut down Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard. A pedestrian died and police are searching for the driver responsible. You can see on this map, McLaughlin is closed from Powell Boulevard south to 17th Avenue. Drivers should avoid this area because the closure could last for hours. Also want to show you some video from the scene. The suspect, we're told, abandoned his car after the crash right near Holgate Boulevard and then just walked away. Again, officers are still searching for him. The other big story this noon is all about Ida. Remnants of the hurricane have now moved away from the northeastern U.S. The storm pounded the region with rain and with wind, and a tornado was caught on camera here in Burlington, New Jersey. The storm killed at least 29 people in New Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia. Now the water came up fast. It swept through homes. It swept away cars. This is video of a water rescue in a town that's about 30 miles north of New York City. Crews saved several people. And today, President Biden talked about all the devastation and shared his support for those impacted.
My message to everyone affected is we're all in this together. The nation is here to help.
President Biden said he's heading to Louisiana tomorrow on Friday to see that damage firsthand. Meteorologist Rod Hill is tracking the rain totals from Ida. What did we end up with, Rod?
Well, some of the highest totals in New York City went over 8 inches, which turned out to be kind of a bullseye of this kind of second revving up of the storm as it really turned into a major flood event moving across New York State. Real quick, I do want to show you that the weather portion of this story, active weather portion, is over. That's the last of the rain moving out of the state of Maine this morning. And then real quick, this is a snapshot of Hurricane Ida as a Category 4 storm, with the eye right here, just moving on to the Louisiana coast. Of course, I was back on Sunday with sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. Wow. And here are those rain totals. These are the numbers that looks like will be the official ones that will go into the record book. Central Park in New York, over 7 inches. Staten Island, this is the highest in the New York metro area that I could find, 8.92 inches. Plymouth, Massachusetts, one of the last to see the heavy rain band, 6.33. And then down in Alabama, over 11 inches. And there's New Orleans total near the eye coming on shore, just shy of 13 3/4 of an inch of rain. Back at home, no worries. It is absolutely clear. We're at 72 degrees. Temperatures warming into the 80s this afternoon. I'll have that forecast into Labor Day weekend coming up.
All right, that's a big one. Thank you. This noon, we're also tracking rising gun violence in Portland as police investigate a new shooting spree. The city saw 9 shootings in just 16 hours between Tuesday and Wednesday. The crimes happened from St. John's in North Portland to the Springwater Trail in Southeast. The shooting seriously injured 2 people and killed a service dog. Shootings aren't the only issue. The FBI saying hate crimes are up here in Oregon, and many of the victims don't report them. As Tim Gordon explains, the FBI is now launching a new awareness campaign, hoping more victims will come forward.
Through this unified crime reporting system.
The FBI compiles reports of hate crimes in the United States, and year to year in Oregon, they say the numbers are up.
So they reflect likely both an increased reporting as well as an increase in incidents. And that's the troubling thing.
Kieran Ramsey is special agent in charge for Oregon. In 2020, there were 271 hate crimes reported in the state, up from 170 reported the year before. That's a 59% increase.
There are any number of factors, societal drivers, let's call them, across the country and here in Oregon, with the divisiveness that we can see in various segments of our community.
Divisiveness over race has been a huge reason for demonstrations calling for change in our communities. It makes sense when you look at the reasons for hate crimes. In Oregon, the FBI says 70% of reported hate crimes were motivated by race, ethnicity, or ancestry. From there, religion was the motivating factor for 10%. also 10% for sexual orientation, and 3% for gender identity. One example of a crime motivated by racial prejudice happened in late 2019 at an Arby's restaurant in Eastern Oregon. A black man sitting at a booth waiting for a job interview was stabbed and seriously injured by a young white man.
This individual is obviously arrested immediately. During the arrest and subsequent interviews, continues to state, unfortunately and really horrifically, he did so because that individual, the victim, was black and he hated black people.
Then 27-year-old Nolan Levi Strauss eventually pleaded guilty to a federal hate crime. But there are many other cases, including in the Portland metro area, that never make the news, and even more where victims don't come forward. So the FBI is launching an awareness effort. Look for information on billboards and bus stops, radio and TV in multiple languages, encouraging people to not suffer in silence.
Our purpose for this whole entire campaign is to drive community awareness, to really make sure people understand there is yet another resource out there, the FBI, that wants to hear from victims today, tomorrow, the next day.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Turning now to COVID. Seattle Children's Hospital has reported its first COVID death. The patient died last week. The hospital confirmed the news Tuesday, but didn't give further details, citing patient privacy. A pediatric ICU doctor said Washington is now suffering its fifth wave of COVID, with more children needing care. St. Charles Hospital in Bend is providing new insight into exactly who's being admitted with COVID, and it's breaking it down between those who are vaccinated and those who are not. This week, St. Charles reported a near record 75 COVID patients at one time. 15 of them were fully vaccinated, which is 20%, and 1/3 of the 9 patients in the ICU were fully vaccinated.
Under 30% of the people to represent 80% of the cases, I think is a pretty good demonstration that vaccination provides substantial protection against COVID.
That's Commissioner Phil Chang. He's now working on an incentive program for businesses in Deschutes County to ramp up the vaccination rate. He hopes to explain the idea at a commission meeting in the next few weeks. Well, today the Oregon Health Authority reported 23 new COVID deaths and more than 2,800 confirmed infections. We're also tracking the number of patients hospitalized with the virus. As of right now, there are 1,178 people statewide in the hospital with COVID. 358 are in the ICU. That's 36 more than yesterday. Well, check this out. It really is an unusual protest at Riverbend Hospital in Springfield. What you see there, all those shoes, belong to unvaccinated healthcare workers who are fighting the state mandate to get their COVID shots or lose their jobs. The deadline to comply has already passed, so they left their shoes at the hospital entrance to mark their last day at work. The Oregon Nurses Association says it's trying to help more than 100 unvaccinated nurses figure out their next steps.
Individually, our labor representatives are meeting with each person who has been placed on unpaid administrative leave to find out exactly what their situation is.
Riverbend says the vast majority of its staff, 91%, is fully or partially vaccinated.